2 full years without a race win? Is it just a car or a combination of both? Is George impacting Lewis's strategies? Will Lewis ever win above 103? Being a Mercedes and Hamilton fan in this recent time is getting harder every day. With zero side pods concepts, Mercedes has been unable to capitalize on the full potential of a car. Welcome back F1 fans to Formula Gasm as we discuss realistic chances of Lewis Hamilton winning a race and leaving the championship apart. Before we dive into all these realistic chances of Lewis and Mercedes, don't forget to like this video. Going bold again with a zero side pod concept at the start of the year, Mercedes quickly knew that they had got the wrong idea and brought upgrades of a more conventional side pod design in Monaco, but to their disappointment, car didn't perform as in the simulator. Hamilton has been visiting the factory himself and specifically requested certain changes in the car according to his experience. 103 wins to no wins is something every fan should think about, but when one gets a fundamentally wrong car, the chances of a race win are minimal. In his own words, the dream is to make sure that when we start in February next year, the car is not a replica of this year's car and feels the same, but I am pretty sure that's not going to be the case. However, at this time Mercedes has got more than enough pressure in comparison to last year. What if they fail 3 years in a row? Lewis Hamilton, along with his age, is getting harder every year to go for a title fight. The clock is ticking for Lewis, if not for Mercedes. Will Lewis win in 2024? Comment down your thoughts below. With every race week in this era, it's all about if Red Bull fails and another team could capitalize. However, Mercedes, since their last win in Interlagos 2022 with George, it has been a miserable year for the team. Fans seem to forget about the sheer capability of Sir Lewis once he gets confident in a car. It's either hammer time or Bono, my tires are gone. The 2021 season has set up a new bar for all wheel-to-wheel actions in F1. The team has long been open that it will embark on a new design direction for 2024. The car, which is set to be revealed to the world on February 14th, will be very different from the concept put together for 2023, even though Mercedes unlocked performance gains from the W14 throughout the season. While Mercedes have changed their path for 2024, Red Bull's new car is set to be an evolution of the RB19. The W15 is particularly intriguing coming into 2024. After 2 seasons of struggle to fight against Red Bull, Toto Wolff along with Mercedes admitted that the team had chosen the wrong concept early in 2023, resulting in a swift change of direction through the team's development path in 2023. Though the W14 received numerous upgrades this year, it wasn't enough to catch up with Red Bull's RB19 piloted by Max Verstappen. The Brackley squad revamped its approach to the car, and next year it is said to release an entirely new title contender. He says, "We have a gap to the leaders. But the 2 teams, at Brixworth and Brackley, are so motivated. We have so many good things in the pipeline, so many new things, and, with all the learning we had, we are really in a good place to see what's coming together." Toto Wolff is anticipating the performance potential of the revamped Mercedes W15 next season. Team boss Toto Wolff has outlined how the W15 will be revolutionary compared to the 2023 car. Every individual component in W15 is being researched and developed in surveillance of technical chief James Allison, which makes the matter more serious for Mercedes. After 2 mere years, James is back as chief to carry Mercedes back to its glory days. Can James, Toto, and Lewis trio bring Mercedes back to its old days? Nonetheless, we are already halfway through the ground effect era, and from 2026 F1 is back to engine power, and it's all game on again for bigger teams to fight at the front. As for now, teams may stay on the back foot, but with new regulations, one may never know. Even Alpine could be fighting for the top. It's all about perfecting the regulations at the right time, and having a driver like Max and Lewis in that particular car plays a greater impact. So as a neutral F1 fan, it would be better for Hamilton to stay in F1 until new regulations kick in, and who knows, Mercedes could be back like the old days. We could together personally assume that, if Lewis gets a challenging car, it's all on again. Whatever one says, in recent times there's no wheel-to-wheel action as Lewis and Max do. As one says, form is temporary, class is permanent. Winning a race on a 6th F1 outing is not everyone's cup of tea. Thus, don't count Hamilton out until he gets a competitive car. Every driver has their unique way of driving and preference. While Max Verstappen likes a car with more oversteer, Sergio Perez can adapt easily to an understeer car. While RB19 is more of an oversteer car, it's obvious Checo is having a hard time on that second seat. But for the Mercedes duo, in this case, they can breathe a sigh of relief as both drivers have an almost safe preference for drivability, and this helps the team along in R&D to go sharply under one concept. Thankfully, Red Bull has Adrian Newey, the airbender himself, who can try to experiment both ways and go with faster ones. But it's vastly opposite for Ferrari, as both drivers are vastly different in driving styles, and the team is having a hard time building a car around one certain driver. While every ruler and kingdom comes to an end, it seems like in Mercedes the same story is being repeated. Hamilton has still a few more years, but finding a perfect replacement for Hamilton is getting blood out of stone. Mercedes has already made a bold move keeping this in mind. They promoted their junior driver Kimi Antonelli from regional Formula to F2 without competing in F3. Kimi is set to drive for Prema Racing, and he is claimed to be next to Max Verstappen by many. So Mercedes has bold calls to make in a couple of years to keep the market running. Since joining Mercedes in 2013, Lewis Hamilton had his fights with Nico Rosberg until 2016, but since 2017, along with Valtteri, he has barely been taken to his limits. But as a young rising potential champion, George has been making things different at Mercedes. From making bold calls to owning strategic moves, George never fails to take risks on track, which has barely paid off to date. Singapore 2023, for example. But like one says, you miss it all if you don't risk, and Toto works with the same mentality. Therefore, we feel like Lewis has not been prioritized as before. If Lewis had been given the chance to pass George in Singapore, he would have won the race. The 7-time world champion has the composure of a saint that one could barely have. Take Abu Dhabi 2021, for example. Any other driver than Lewis that day would have caused a riot. As Sir Lewis Hamilton is chasing that win, there has been no less effort on the next side of the paddock at Aston Martin garage along with Fernando Alonso. Since his last win in May 2013. Realistically speaking, it's almost a decade since Fernando has landed in a race-winning car, but Red Bull domination has something other to say. Mercedes and Aston Martin both carry Mercedes-powered engines, but Mercedes' Zero-Pod's failed concepts have put them on back foot. Whereas, once Aston Martin was pointed out to be the carbon copy of Red Bull, Mercedes started to realize Adrian Newey and his groundbreaking efforts were always on the top. Only if Mercedes had gone with the same concept as Aston last season already, things could have played in a different way around here. So will we see 33 first or 104? Comment down your thoughts below. Since 2007, these two have kept up the adrenaline running here, and they're with masterclass driving. Thanks for joining us on this ride through the highs and lows of this epic rivalry. Until next time, keep the engines roaring and the adrenaline pumping on the road to glory.